Hello, everyone, and welcome to Cinema Savvy, and welcome back for another review. Today, we're doing. Don't even classify this as. Is this a TV series? Is this a film series? What even is this anymore?
It's a film anthology series. It is now kind of moved to TV. I think it was always probably intended for TV. I know that 3 of the 5 titles were at London Film Festival. We managed to catch one of them, being Mangrove, and I believe were 2 others released at that time. But we just
one
never got
was
to see them.
Lovers Rock, the film that we are reviewing today, was actually released at London Film Festival, but I didn't get around to seeing it. And the other one that has been doing the festival circuit is Red, White, and Blue, which is the John Boyega one, which is going to be airing tomorrow night as of filming. And then along with Mangrove, which we've already reviewed on the channel, this would be kind of the second in the series, with it kind of continuing on with these film-length TV episodes, or however you would kind of call it, coming out. But hello, welcome to the review. I'm going to pass you over to socials right now, I guess, before we go into it.
Yeah, hi, I'm Socials. Just a quick one. So, best way to find out what we're doing when we go live is always to find us on social media. As we've said, tonight's very last minute. We did a post a couple of minutes ago. So, we always say every episode, sometimes we go live quite with no notice. And here we are. So, best way to find out when we're going to do that is at Facebook Cinema Savvy, Twitter at cinema_savvy. That's the best 2 places to find out what we're going to be doing. And then, of course, we have a link to our TeePublic in the description below. And, of course, guys, the best way to help us out, anyone that checked out Mando last night, big thank you for doing that. But the best way to find out what we're doing is to comment with your thoughts on the films. To like, comment, share, and subscribe. All that good stuff helps us with the algorithms. And to any new people that joined us last night, whether you're based in Australia or America, with a couple of new people checking in. This is a British series, but if you are watching in America, I believe it's on Amazon Prime every Sunday. We get it on the BBC. It's a co-production between the BBC and Amazon. So if you have been watching these, then we're a couple of days late, but we're getting into the ring of things.
Yeah, and I mean, this is 2 out of 5, so I guess because we've chose to do this one, we've sort of, the OCD in us, we've unofficially kind of signed up now to review all 5 of these things. So I actually think this is probably one of the shortest ones out of the 5. This clocks in at about 70 minutes. It did feel longer than that when I was watching it, so I guess that kind of gives away my sort of like initial opinions on this film. But yeah, so who's starting? How are we starting this thing off? We don't have a plan for this thing.
I would like to start. So I'm going to come ahead and say that I enjoyed the film. And I want to start off by saying that because we always discuss this beforehand, and you guys are going to go over your opinions. But I want to go immediately to Metacritic, one of the reviewing sites for this film, where it's currently got a 95% rating from their critics, and a 50% rating from the viewers. So what can we say other than the fact that it's a very polarizing film? The critics absolutely love it, and the people who are watching it casually, just kind of tuning into it, are maybe not as clued onto it as maybe the film would have wanted to be. As far as this film is concerned, I think it does a very good job of what it's aiming to do, and that is just put you in that experience of being in a kind of 80s party setting, with the kind of Caribbean culture being brought into it, with the Black culture being brought into it, with all of the kind of things that are happening at the time, and just putting you in that spot. It's a snapshot in time, and that's kind of how I see the film. But I know how people can see it very differently, and I want to hear your opinions on it as well.
Well, I mean, obviously the point of small acts in general is, I mean, that is what Steve Mcqueen's going in for. Like, he's doing 5 separate stories, completely separate stories, but all revolving around, Black culture and everything, and showing all different versions of that. I mean, the first one, Mangrove, was race relations in London, and it, court cases, various court cases, and, systemic racism. This was more sort of like a slice of life, I guess. This one, it was just sort of like a house party, music, dancing, and various fornications and everything like that. It places you in that setting, and it basically keeps you there for the majority of the runtime. Now, with Mangrove, that actually had somewhat of it had a plot, it had characters. You understood what the characters were striving towards, what they were trying to achieve. And although it didn't, I think in the review we said that it didn't really try and do anything new, perhaps, in telling that story, but it is a necessary story, and it is one that a lot of people need to hear. This one, I think, when I was talking to you, Tayte, earlier, you mentioned that it doesn't have to have a point. It can be pointless, and it can just be set in this thing. And you use the word pointless, and when I think of something as pointless, I can't gravitate towards it. Now, are the performances bad in this? Not at all. I think for the scant bits of dialogue that you have and small character moments, very, very small character moments, the actors portray it very well. There's moments at the beginning of the film where they're slipping into their cultural lingo and dialect and then switching back to more of a convention, like London slang and everything, and they flip-flop between that seamlessly. The music, like the reggae music and everything, it is a vibe, which I believe the cool kids say nowadays. It is a vibe, but there just wasn't story, character, and I think, George, I know we were talking about this as well. I think you kind of echo where I'm thinking as well. It's just, it is like, what is the point? What is the point of this? What is this story? What is it trying to tell? Because if it's trying to say that, house parties are great and, this music and everything, a lot of bad shit happens at this house party. There's a lot of antagonism. There's rape. There's so much unwarranted ass grabbage in this. Like, it's all of this stuff. And I think I came out of this film thinking, would this be a party that I'd like to go to? Would I feel happy and contented at this party? And I think I'd feel terrified if I was at this party. So I don't. It was a bit murky with the message that the film was trying to tell. I think that was what my takeaway from it, anyway.
I mean, I would need to have a think to what a message was. There wasn't any thinking required. It felt like listening to Spotify's greatest hits of the 80s. And this is the thing. I love Steve McQueen. I've loved the films I've seen. Mangrove, we spoke about in October. I loved it. Small Axe is a series, an anthology series, delving in sort of the Caribbean history in Britain over the last couple of decades. The name Small Axe is obviously a Bob Marley song. They've even said in the press that they took the meaning of that from a line of that song. So we know that music is a culture part of this that Steve McQueen wants to do, but you said the word vibe, and that's a really good throwback to that Mangrove review, because Mangrove had all that great stuff, the music, the food, everything, exploring that culture, but it told a story. It told the story of the Mangrove Nine. Sorry, not sorry, I'm so confused with Trial of Chicago. There's been too many court case films.
Trial of the Chicago 7,
yeah. I mean, we know Red, White, and Blue is another drama. John Boyega is playing a real life character. The fourth one is about the 1980s Brixton riots. It's about an author from the time. Don't know anything about the fifth one, but it's based in a school, so I don't know if that's like this.
Yeah, it's based about. I want to say it's based around the life of a writer, an actual writer. I think it's an actual person.
That's the fourth one.
It's his entire life. Yeah.
That's the Alex Wheatley one. And this was. I was looking forward to this. I didn't get a chance to see it last week because of other stuff. I checked out there to stay, and I'm very easy to please when it comes to films. I've said that to you guys before. People are watching know that. I just didn't see a point of this. And it's going back to that. Maybe because we had Mangrove first. Maybe because we know Red, White, and Blue is the one coming to our Boyega. This felt like compulsory viewing because you want to watch the others. And I just didn't get anything from it. I wasn't invested within the characters. As Chris said, the house party itself, I understood the point of it. I'm not missing any point of this, that it's just chucking you in the life of this night. It could have been 10 minutes long. It could have been 20 minutes long. It could have been 30 minutes long. It could have been an hour long. It could have been 3 hours long. Nothing would have changed from what we've seen because it's just people going to a party. And I just really didn't connect to that. Maybe it is just me. I just feel that it wasn't up to scratch of what I expected from Steve McQueen based off his other stuff. So, and like I say, the performances weren't bad from the people there. The cinematography wasn't bad. They did as much as they could do being set in a house. But to me, it just felt like, okay, what songs do we really like from this era that we can explore and have people react around? And I don't think it's hard when you look at sort of the year 1980 where it's set. It is that, you've got plenty of good music to pick from. And obviously everyone's talking about the Kung Fu Fighting song, which is the standout, the peak of this film.
That was my favorite bit of the film.
I wouldn't say that was the peak of the film. I mean, I don't think you're definitely not alone because, like I said at the start, Metacritic, I mean, people have said they liked it. People have said they didn't like it. It's, I would say, quite a polarizing film. The take that I got from it and the reason why I liked it was because it was a delve into that culture. You don't have to have a direct story to tell the lives of an entire room of people, but you were able to see that throughout the entire night. And not only were you a fly on the wall in the experience, but it felt more than that. It felt like you were actually there, feeling kind of every emotion that was going through the party, seeing everything that happens. And it's a kind of experience that you get even in modern day parties. It's just that it was done in the 1980s and it was done in this particular setting. Personally, for me, the standout moment was Silly Games, the song. And
God,
I know
I thought that went on way too long.
Well,
like 10, 15 minutes devoted to that one part.
The reason why I think that's my favorite moment from the film, I'm sure people who have watched it will also agree with this moment being particularly standing out, is the fact that there are two moments in the film where the music stops completely. There's one moment where it stops on purpose, which is the moment where they start chanting. They're kind of chanting for their rights. They're kind of getting unity. The people in the room who were enemies at the start and stuff like that, who were arguing at the doors, suddenly are dancing together, having fun together. And that's how a party develops. But the reason why I like Silly Games the most is because I don't think the DJ stopped the music. I think that was a look on the room when the music you take out the music and this is how everyone is feeling that emotion. This is how everyone's singing along to a particular song. And this is how everyone's reacting to it. And the reason why I say that is because the voiceover, the DJ guy who chimes in, he doesn't chime in on this bit. It's completely silent. Whereas the second one, he does chime in. I think that's the stylization that Steve Mcqueen wanted to go for with this scene in particular. He wanted to make you feel every emotion that you could feel in a particular party. And I mean, it's rare that you have party films anyway. There aren't many films that come to mind. I think George, when we were chatting earlier, named probably the only one that I could think of on the spot, which is Project X, which is a very, very different film to this. I want to say very, very different. But I mean, I enjoyed this film. I enjoyed the atmosphere that it gave and the little character moments that it brought forward and just the culture that it showed.
See, for me, it didn't give me enough of those character moments. I don't feel like I got to know anyone near enough as I should have to care about and I say plot side of it in the loosest possible term. Like, I didn't get enough from the characters to get attached to them or their situation or their relationships or anything like that. It was all very surface level, which maybe was the intention, but it doesn't make for a good viewing experience. And then in terms of the music and everything, like, yeah, that's absolutely fine. I don't personally, for me, like the cinematography didn't astound me or anything like that. It was just sort of like this slow motion tracking between the crowd, and there was nothing particularly visual that stood out to me in the entire crux of the film. I think you could have showcased everything that you just mentioned there in a 10 to 20 minute short film. Now, granted, this is 70 minutes. You could argue that this is a short film, but sometimes brevity can take you a long way. And I felt like this could have easily been chopped down. You know what this film is? And I thought this when I was watching it. Do you remember The Matrix Reloaded? And do you remember that party scene on Zion where it cuts to that awkward sex scene with Neo and Trinity, and it's all in slow motion and there's like this bassy dance music? It's that scene dragged out over 70 minutes.
I really enjoyed that scene.
I'm sure you did. But it's just
I'll be a massive proponent of the Matrix sequels forever.
And the music's great in the film, like the reggae music, brilliant. Like, I love it. And Kung Fu Fighting, maybe. I just love that song. You know, Cole Douglas's Kung Fu Fighting. It's a fantastic song. I love it. That's where I perked up. George, I messaged you. I was like, oh, hey, up, what you chat? This is it's picked up now. This is a great set list. And then no plot. Don't really care about the characters and the samey dance scenes.
The reason why it has to be 70 minutes long, and I say that it has to be 70 minutes long, it could maybe be 60 minutes. It couldn't be any less. And the reason why is because you start the night by seeing our lead character, who they don't actually, Amarah, sorry, they do give her name. And she is sneaking out of a conservative Christian house to go for this party. And that comes back to it full circle at the very end. But it's all the little moments that are combined together that you would experience within a party. If you take out any of those moments, then that doesn't feel the same. It doesn't feel like the atmosphere. It doesn't feel like what it's trying to get at. That the party can have some good moments, it can have some terrible moments, but all in all, people are there to have a good time. Some do, some don't. It's the nature of what happens. And I think that can't be told in anything less than the 60 minutes like it could have done. Shave off 10 minutes maybe, but I think it paced itself okay in the end.
I just think it's weird, not even to bring this into it, but I get it's representing a party and what parties can have, but it just felt like an experiment that when Steve McQueen pitched Snorlax to BBC, we know it started as a series, the episode run lengths, we've not got confirmed all 5, but they all run between 70 and 128 minutes. I guarantee you that Red, White and Blue tomorrow is going to be nearer like the hour 40 mark. And I think it's just an experiment. Personally, that I understand the point of it, but it just didn't work for me. You mentioned the Metacritic stuff. It's weird to compare when there's only the 10 reviews on there, 5 of them from the audience as well. So it's really bizarre. But it's fine on Rotten Tomatoes. It's had 100 reviews, 70 odd reviews. It's been fine, but it just felt like a waste. And I think for episode 2, for the second entry in this, off the back of Mangrove, this one which people are talking about them submitting for the BAFTAs, Red, White and Blue, the one that they premiering at New York Festival, everything, John Boy getting 5-star reviews and stuff. It just felt like a weird choice for episode 2. Maybe they don't want to do back-to-back-to-back really deep dramas and stuff. But personally, to me, I can have those kind of things, that party scene. But when you're glossing over a rape scene, like, this is what it's like a tick. So what do you get at a party? Do you get people doing stuff in bathrooms? Tick. Did you get a rape? Maybe. Tick. Did you get music choices? Tick. Did you get arguments? Tick. Did you get people scrapping? Tick. It was just a checklist of things to expect an argument placed in 1980 subculture, and it is going back to that comparison point where we know this entire series is based upon culture. So just to get 1 hour of people listening to music of all cultures just didn't really feel like anything different at all. You got the last 2-3 minutes were okay when it got to the next day and there was little things there. That was a little bit more interesting, but it just didn't do enough for me. And it just felt like it could have been a short film. Any longer, I mean, it's already painful on hour and 10. It felt like a chore, and that's not what I wanted from this at all. And I'm not saying it's got me worried because I trust Steve McQueen, but for the other entries, I'm just now going to be like, okay, maybe I shouldn't expect too much from them based on this. So Lover's Rock to me was just, I've seen it. I'm never going to go back to it and probably think of it again after this series has ended. And I'm just really optimistic now for the other ones.
I think the weirdest thing for me, and you mentioned it there, was the rape scene being glossed over. And it really was. Like, it happened, and then isn't she upstairs and she's like getting off with someone else up there? I'm like, would that really happen after going through a traumatic event? Like,
it reminded me of the Ricky Gervais Office joke. I'm not going to quote a word for it, but it just reminded me of that scene from The Office. It was so random, so out there, so just chucked in. It's like, okay, that's uncomfortable. But moving on quickly, that's basically the joke. And yeah, that's exactly what they did.
That's fair. I mean, with that scene, I feel like they probably should have gone back to it with like her kind of not like traumatized. I mean, that is a traumatizing experience, and you maybe get one look from her of like complete like that was horrifying and stuff like that, and then I don't think they actually go back to that.
No, exactly.
That character even. So I personally would have liked a conclusion to that. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed the film still. I mean, not the rape scene. I want to point that out. I enjoyed the film, the aesthetic that it gave, and just the culture.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't really have anything to add. I've kind of summed up my thoughts. The cinematography didn't do anything for me, just anything like that. But as you said, like, people are divided on this. I think people would probably, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that mostly positive towards Mangrove, just from a critical
overwhelmingly
standpoint.
Positive towards
yeah.
Mangrove.
I mean, we all saw Mangrove, and granted, we don't have many films that have come out this year to hold them up against, but we all said that Mangrove would probably be in our top 5. But again, I do want to stress that we haven't had a wealth of films this year, so we're just sort of like clinging on to any film that we have seen as a good film.
And one of the other films that we have seen this year actually made Mangrove better, which was The Trial of Chicago 7, which I liked Mangrove more after seeing that film.
Yeah, no, definitely. So that'll do it for our review on Lover's Rock. Almost forgot the name there. Part 2 in the Small Axe anthology series. And we want to hear from you guys. Have you checked it out? It is still on BBC iPlayer if you're in the UK. And as George mentioned, it is on Amazon Prime for overseas. We will have the next one. Well, the next one's coming out tomorrow. We probably won't have a review tomorrow for that one, but we will have we're 2 films into a 5-film series now at this point, so we'll be bringing you reviews on all the other ones, so expect that at some point this week. And the best way to stay updated with all of the videos that we have coming out, and we do have a schedule in place for the next few months, and it is packed. We've got a lot of stuff coming out, so follow us on Facebook, and that's just Cinema Savvy, Twitter at cinema_savvy, and yeah, as I mentioned, like, comment, share, subscribe, spread the word. We are aiming for those goals, those sub goals, and we do want to hear your opinions on the film as well if you have checked it out, so be sure to do that. I think we've pretty much said everything. We might be on a review tomorrow, actually. Look out for another one.
Possibly.
Yes, possibly. So just look out for it. As I mentioned, social medias, hit the bell icon so you get a little notification. And that'll do it from us. And we'll see you on the next one. Take care, guys.